Hey everyone, my name is Eric Boissonneau, and this presentation is all about the modern UTM strategy. So over the next 45 minutes or so, I will be teaching you a better way to work with UTMs so that you never have to worry about that ever again. So this presentation is for marketers, data consultant, um, any stakeholders at a company that run ads on multiple platforms and would like to find ways to maybe save some time and money, or anyone who's tired of setting up UTMs manually and deal with all the problems that comes with doing that. All right. My goal during this presentation is to teach you how to save a ton of time with this system, this modern UTM strategy, build a scalable and easily repeatable process for every marketing campaign that you'll run in the future. Improve your data accuracy, improve marketing ROI. It's also kind of a introduction into a modern data pipeline. So we will be building a single source of truth for your marketing data, and at the same time, so you'll learn how you can kind of own your data and unlock the power of your data. All right, there are some prerequisites to this course. So it'd be preferable if you know a little bit about how UTMs works, but we'll cover a bit as a kind of a refresher. The ability to follow a step-by-step guides, some part of the implementation to the solution is a little bit technical, but I've built a step-by-step guides, and if you follow that, anyone who kind of has some experience, let's say with Google Tag Manager or Google Analytics 4, probably is tech savvy enough to implement that solution. And the last prerequisites is to be motivated to save time, improve your marketing ROI, and modernize your data management. All right. So who am I to kind of talk about this? Let's go over that quickly so we can get that out of the way. I'm a former professional poker player from Montreal, so that's my first language is French, so that's why the accent. I studied mathematics at Université du Québec à Montréal, and in 2019 I started my data consulting agency called Systematic, and since then I've worked with companies like Zendesk, Wounded Warrior Project, Dialogue, Royal Bank of Canada for anything data related, and I've implemented the modern UTM strategy, so what I'm going to talk in this course, for over 10 clients, and it's been a game changer both for them and for us as well, to have a repeatable process that we can just deploy for every client. All right, we have a lot to cover, so let's get started. What's the problem with the current UTM strategy? Right? So the process at high level is really you set the campaign names, ad group names, ad names inside your ad platforms like Google Ads or Facebook Ads, right? And then you have to convert that into UTMs. Most people will have some sort of Google Sheets. I've seen that not thousands of times, but I've seen that a lot. And it's just kind of a converter, right? You have the landing page and then this UTM source. I'll show you an example later on. Then you have to copy and paste the results from that Google Sheet and paste that individually for every ads inside the ad platforms while making sure that you're not making any mistakes. If you do want to enrich that data and have more information than just what you managed to squeeze inside the UTMs, then you do have some data modeling work to do. And since you're working with not IDs, but just strings of text, you have to build most likely very complicated rules, which makes the whole process very tedious and expensive. And then you build dashboard and kind of hope that you got everything correctly, right? So cross your finger, hope that nobody copy and pasted the wrong line in the wrong ad, and or that nobody noticed, right? So that's what happened. That's the current situation with UTMs. Not ideal at all. And the worst part of it is once you kind of went through all of that process, then you have to repeat that for every campaigns that you create, right? Even though you have that Google Sheet and you might have settled on a naming convention, you still have to copy and paste. You still have to avoid those mistakes. And if you make some, you're going to have to do some data modeling work. So yeah, I've been there. It's not fun. And sometimes the data is just lost and there's kind of nothing you can do about it. You had the wrong data. You just have to kind of ignore that campaign because not the correct UTMs were set, right? So here's what I'm proposing. I want you to go from what we just discussed to this system where you don't have to set a naming convention. You don't have to convert these into UTM-friendly parameters. And then what I want you to do is just set the UTMs at your ad platform account level if possible. Then just do a simple join on ID and connect that to a dashboard, and that's it. And the beauty of this system is that once it's set up, you'll never have to worry about UTMs again. It's going to work for your first campaign, second campaign, third campaign, up to how many campaigns you want. It's always the same thing. All right, so this is kind of the introduction to this course. Hope you are pumped for what's coming. So let's get to it. All right, yeah, this little thumbs up. This was kind of my reaction the first time we implemented that. So let's go in more details about why the current strategy is not ideal and what UTMs are. So UTMs is just that those parameters here that you add after the kind of landing page URL. And the goal for that is that when the person goes from your ad to your website, that we know where they are coming from. So in this case, the source is Facebook, the medium would be CPC, and then UTM campaign. From what I've seen so many times, people try to squeeze as much information as possible in here because that's kind of how we learn how to do it. And it was okay for a time, I suppose, but it's just not the case anymore. This will give you a headache trying to untangle that. I have a much better solution to that. All right, so UTMs, this is it. And this is the process, right? You have the ad platform that contains all of these fields, the campaign, ad group name, all of that. And you're trying to take some of that information like campaign name, maybe ad name that you're trying to squeeze in there in the UTMs so that Google Analytics receive that information where you can run some analysis on conversions, device, stuff like that, right? So that's the current state of this strategy. And it's preventing you from just, the big downside is just how time consuming this is, right? You have to build that Google Sheets, you have to copy and paste those ads, it's prone to human errors. And the worst part is once that data hit GA4, right? You set the UTMs here and the data, it hits GA4. If you realize that you've made a mistake, it's near impossible to edit that data and say, look, I've made a mistake here with the campaign name, or it's just, that's what it is. That's the data you have, and now you have to kind of deal with that, and you have to catch that error, because most of the time people will just assume the data is correct, and it's really not. If you're trying to fix those mistakes, it's going to cost you a lot in data modeling. You're also very limited in terms of the data you're trying to pass, or the data you have, right? Because you need to, that's why most people try to squeeze as much information in here as possible, because those two platforms don't necessarily talk. Yeah, maybe Google Ads will talk with Google Analytics, but Facebook won't, and any other platform won't necessarily give you all of these data points, right? You'll just get what you manage to squeeze in those UTMs. So it's very limited in that regard, which make it difficult to drill down, and it's not fully reusable. You can have a naming convention, but still every campaign will come with its problem. All right, so that's how it looks. In platform, you might name your campaign like that. And then you're trying to convert that campaign name into something that could be passed in a URL as a UTM parameters. So most people will have some sort of, this is the Google Sheets I was talking about, right? You have the landing page here, source, CPC, campaign, where we're trying to squeeze as much information as possible. And then, and sometimes we also have like content and term. And then we create this long URL, and then we copy this and we paste that inside each ad in Google Ads, Facebook Ads, and every ad platforms, right? So this is just very painful. And then if you've made a mistake, or you're trying to break that down because you squeeze so much information here, for example, PLA means the platform. This second part here means the area of the funnel. So this should be mapped to MOF, should be mapped to middle of funnel in your dashboard. For example, this is the, so you have all of these things that you'd like, that you're gonna have to map if you want to kind of expand on what you managed to squeeze here. And then reporting, right? You build your dashboard, and that's it. That's the current state. I already talked about those problems. These are examples that I've seen out in the wild. So sometimes the naming conventions are kind of unclear. We don't really know what should be the output. So if we have to build custom rules in SQL, when we're modeling the data, it might get very, very complicated. Also, not every ads will require the same structure. Some are video ads, and we would like to include the video duration in here. But then we have an image that doesn't have a video duration, so we already are changing the structure of the UTM, which is again not ideal when trying to standardize a process and make it repeatable, no matter what type of ads this is, no matter the platform. So we can see why data quality suffer so much with the current way people are using UTMs, right? A great way would be to get the UTM and map that back to the ad platform, so we can have access to all of these fields instead of trying to pass everything. The problem is that we're converting the UTM, the campaign name, into a string here, and it doesn't necessarily match, right? And there's all sorts of things that can happen with strings. Also, campaign name in platform might change. So you get all of those things to consider which make mapping it back to ad platforms complicated. All right. So that's about the current state of the UTM strategy. I don't know if you experience the same thing as me. For me, most of the time, UTMs were the biggest cause of poor data quality in marketing data. Very close to a bad Google Tag Manager implementation, I would say. So how do we solve this? This isn't. I mean, everyone has been teaching how to use UTM the same way since forever. So what's new? So this is the solution I'm proposing and that I've been implementing, and it works great. The idea is to leverage ad platforms' dynamic URLs and a modern data pipeline. So it's nothing groundbreaking. Some people are already using dynamic URLs. Some people already have a modern data pipeline. It's just to standardize all of it and just being smart about it, right? So the advantage of doing that is it's not tied to any ad platform naming conventions. You don't have to maintain it. It's 100% reusable, and you set it once in your ad platform, and you don't have to worry about UTMs ever again. This is the big point, right? It's a huge time saver, and it will improve the data, the quality of your data. It will greatly simplify any data modeling work you might have to do. And also, since you're going to have a modern data pipeline, all of your data will be stored in a data warehouse. So you own your data. So no matter what happened to a platform, or maybe your account gets shut down for whatever reason, you will still have access to your data, which is another great benefit of this solution. All right, so here's how it looks in action. In platform naming conventions, you don't have to do it anymore, but it's still good practice if, for example, you'd like to be able to filter across multiple ad platforms on campaign name. So if your campaign is summer 2023, if it's called like that in every ad platform, you could have a single, you could select that in your campaign drop down, and let's say in your dashboard, and you could be filtering across multiple ad platform, which is very useful. But the system doesn't depend on that anymore. Converting to UTMs, we just don't have to do that anymore. So we save a lot of time, and the data quality will be way better. Implementing the UTMs inside the ad platforms now takes just a few minutes. You set it up at the account level or campaign level. Sometimes you'll have to set it at the ad level, but there's only just one structure that you can just copy and paste it. So there's no risk of copying and pasting the wrong structure in the wrong ad. It's just the same across the board. And then data modeling and reporting. This is a one-time effort. So if you're a marketing agency, this is repeatable for all of your clients. You can have a dashboard template, data modeling template, and you're good to go. You have this once, and you just do it the same for every client. So here's an example, right? So for Google Ads, for example, they have a place in Google Ads account. Go to settings, and you can set your UTM at the account level. So this is the structure I'm recommending. So you have your UTM source, which is a variable. So it's going to show you if it's from YouTube, display, search. I think that's pretty much it. Maybe there's another one. Medium CPC, this is hard-coded. And then this is where the magic happens, right? Instead of using UTM campaign and just typing it out, and then in ad group, typing out the name of the ad group and typing out the name of the ad itself, you're going to use those macros. And UTM ID is the UTM for campaign ID in Google Analytics 4. So you're going to place campaign ID there, ad group ID over here, creative placement if you want. You can keep gclid here, and you're good to go. You click save, and then you don't have to worry about UTMs for Google Ads ever again. Right? So pretty neat. Now, how does that work? Because we still want to see the campaign names, right? It's cool. Okay, yes, we do have, we don't have to worry about UTMs, but if I go in my dashboard, a bunch of numbers here doesn't give me much details about which campaign it is. It's not very human readable. So how do we solve for that? Well, that's where having a modern data pipeline comes into play. And this is why this is required for this solution to work. When you have your data warehouse, you're going to have your Google Analytics data sitting right next to your paid ads data, right? So you have Google Ads data, which is coming in BigQuery, for example, and you have Google Analytics 4 coming in BigQuery as well. So with some data engineering work, don't worry, I have like pre-built package for this. What's going to happen is both platforms will be enriched using each other data. So the ad platforms contains both the campaign ID and the campaign name, ad group ID, ad group name. We'd like to have those names in GA4. So we're going to map that to GA4. So if we have UTM ID, we say, okay, so campaign is this text over here. We have ad group ID here. So the ad group name is over there. So we enrich the GA4 data doing that. At least it's going to be there in your final dashboard, right? When you look at GA4 data. For ad platforms, we'd like to get the GA4 data, maybe device, maybe, but most likely conversions, right? We want revenue and the number of conversions. So we're going to send the number of conversions to the ad platform's data. And this is really the big idea, right? Is that now that they both sit right next to each other, there's no point trying to squeeze as much information from one to the other. Let's just give what's necessary to be able to just connect both platforms, and then both platforms can contain the full, all of the fields that are available to you for each platform. So not only you're going to save time by setting the UTMs once, but you'll have access to much more data. All right, so how does that work? We have the ad platform. As I said, this is kind of a modern data pipeline overview. So you have your ad platforms here. I like to use Fivetran to extract the data from the ad platforms and send it over to BigQuery. For Google Analytics 4, if you're using BigQuery, we're using the built-in connector for that. So there's no point paying for Fivetran. For GA4 data, we're using the built-in connector. Once the raw data is there, we still have to do what I talked earlier about, which is mapping the data and enriching the data. So to do that, instead of using scheduled queries inside BigQuery, we're using a platform called DBT, which is free for one user, which is plenty enough for most use cases. And what does that do is just faster to code in there, and it has a great feature which allows you to package block of codes and deploy them into any DBT project, which is what we've done. So anything that I'm talking about in this presentation, we have a DBT package for that. You wouldn't have to code anything, just deploy those DBT package and you'll be good to go. All right. So now that transformed data is coming back to BigQuery and it's ready to be connected to your dashboards. Great. In a little bit more details, again, you have your ad platforms. Now we have a package that will take all of that ad platforms data and build a single report. So it's going to standardize all of it and build a single report, single table basically, that contains all of your paid ads data for all platforms. The only issue is that it does not contain conversions in there, because the goal is to get the conversions from GA4. The reason for that is each platform has its own attribution model, right? So you might have 50 conversion in total that you know, right? You know you have 50 conversions, but for some reason, Google Ads is reporting 20, Facebook 20, Microsoft 20, TikTok ads 20. So you get a total of 80 conversions when in fact you only have 50 conversions. So that's a problem. So the idea is to use conversions from GA4 instead. So we have, this table over here contains like clicks, impressions, what else? Like the most typical metrics you'd want, right? I have a blank here, but like it's the basic ad report. So that's it. Oh yeah, and spend, obviously, how much you spent on each of campaign, ad group, and ads, right, for all platforms. Now for GA4, what we're gonna do is our model, our DBT package, will get the conversions and return all of the conversions and revenue based on a last click attribution model, and basically join that to the ads report on campaign ID, ad group ID, and ad ID, so that you can get your return on ad spend down to the specific ad for any platform. If last click attribution is not what you're looking for, we also have a data-driven attribution model, which could also be joined to that final table. So this final table here, enriched ads report, would contain your marketing data, your GA4 data, without overcounting conversions, and it would also give you revenue, return on ad spend, for every platform. So this is about the structure of the basic ad report here. This is the structure that it returns. This is one package that would convert all of your marketing data into this table, right? Then what we do is in GA4, our package will create session source, medium, campaign, and a bunch of IDs from the IDs, right? So it's going to go get the names and enrich its own data by getting using the IDs. But we also have revenue and conversion, just as I said. So the idea again is just to combine those two tables and then this is the final table you would get. And if you are also interested in getting the data-driven revenue and conversions, our package can also do that. So now, how to implement that strategy. I won't go into like crazy details on how to do that. However, on our website, you'll be able to find a detailed guide on how to implement this. So you'll learn about how to deploy the DBT package, set up a Google Cloud Platform project, and yeah. So I won't go too deep into that. This is how it looks when you look at the platform. So Google Tag Manager kind of collect, capture the data, send it to GA4, which then in Google BigQuery, we have Fivetran over here. So for marketing platforms, we're using Fivetran. So it's the same idea. You just have know the platforms that we typically use and recommend. So the setup. First step is simply to implement the recommended UTM strategy. So give me a second here. All right, so for each platform, we have this little document. This will be part of the detailed guide on how to set the dynamic URL parameters for each platform. So you have Google Ads, Meta, Criteo, TikTok, Pinterest, Reddit, Snapchat, and Campaign Manager. I think the only big platform that doesn't take dynamic URLs is LinkedIn. So for that platform, you could either use a script or type them out manually, which isn't that different than the current way you're probably doing it, right? I'm going to show you how to set up a Google Cloud project, DBT project, how to load the data from your marketing platforms into Google BigQuery using Fivetran. Also have some tips on how to reduce the cost for that. And if you don't have a lot of data, in most cases, it could be free as well if you're below 500,000 new or updated rows total in a month for Fivetran, right? Google Analytics, I'm going to show you how to connect that to BigQuery if you don't already know how. And this is all in the detailed guide. I won't be showing that here because for time, we're already 33 minutes in. I wouldn't have time to show you all of it. So this is kind of an overview of the solution I'm proposing. So then we have the data transformation side, and everything is packaged. You don't have to code. You don't have to figure it out. We spent countless hours figuring that out ourselves so that you don't have to. All right, so there's just 4 packages in total, and one of them is optional. So Fivetran for the paid ads report. We have one for the Google Analytics 4 data. We have our own data-driven attribution model. And we have a final package that kind of bring everything together. And then data visualization. Your tables are ready to be connected to a dashboard. We also have templates for that in Looker Studio. So all you would have to do is just connect your data source and just enjoy, right? So hopefully this was useful. I know we didn't cover the actual implementation, but the idea is just to make you aware that there is a better way, that it's not that complicated, and it is well worth the effort to not have to worry about UTMs again. The current way of doing it, I've never seen a single implementation with no mistakes in the UTMs. Either the naming convention is not respected, or the placement, right? The wrong UTMs are copy and pasted into the wrong ad. Yeah, I've never seen a single implementation that was just flawless and great and reliable, let's say. All right. So in this course, you learn that the current strategy is limited, and why, and also what you can do about it. So with the modern UTM strategy, what I'm proposing is that you are going to save time, drastically improve the data quality of your marketing data, have a system, so especially if you have a marketing agency, that scales and is easily repeatable, no matter the client, no matter their needs. We've implemented that for 10 plus clients, and it works just great. We deploy our package. Rarely we have case where we have to do some custom data modeling. Maybe if they have like very complex need, we might add on top of it, but the foundation remains the same. And lastly, now that you'll have kind of an introduction to a modern data pipeline, you'll have your data in your own data warehouse. You will have control over your attribution model. So there's no black box anymore. You own your data. You own really your results, right? It's all in your hand, at least that part of your marketing, right? Your data, you control it. And then we saw an overview of how it comes together, and like the tables and all of that, without getting into too technical details. All right. So I hope you enjoyed it. There's some considerations to that implementation. So if you're doing some campaign manager, there is some character limit you have to be aware of. If you want to pass additional information to actual GA4, not what's gonna be reported in your Looker Studio report, but in GA4 UI. If you want, let's say, campaign name in GA4 UI, you might need a script, or you can set it manually just the way you're doing it right now, but then it defeats kind of defeat the purpose, right? As I mentioned, LinkedIn ads is the only big ad platform that doesn't support dynamic URLs. And big implementation for a campaign manager might require a slightly different approach. We've done that in the past. So if you're struggling with that, you can reach out, and it's going to be a pleasure to guide you and send you in the right direction, or we can even think of ways to work on that together, right? For the full implementation guide, really step by step on how to deploy the package and all of that, you can go on our website at this address, and I'll make sure that the step-by-step guide is there by the time this presentation goes live. So wish me luck. All right. So thank you. In case you want to reach out, here's my LinkedIn and email. I hope this was useful. I hope that some people take action on that. I've been working with UTMs for a while, and honestly, since we have this solution, it's just really, it's been a game changer, and I'm sure it will be for you too. So thank you for watching my presentation, and have a great rest of your day. All right, cheers.